Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time was a romp through Pokemon Yellow as we sought to see if I could beat that game with just a single Zubat. Today though, we head to Gen 3 and answer the question of if I can beat Pokemon Emerald with just a single Tropius. Tropius then, it's a weird one. This might be the best base stat total I've ever used in a challenge, I will check that. We have decent stats with a 460 base stat total. Speed is about the lowest, but it is still just above base 50, and I've used way worse than that. HP is good, defense stats are good. I think we might have some fun here. Our type combination isn't fantastic. We're grass and flying, which means 5 weaknesses, including flying, poison, rock, fire, and a quad weakness to ice. We're immune to ground, we resist fighting, water, and grass. Via level up, we do get some decent moves. We get Body Slam, Magical Leaf, and even, up until then, Razor Leaf, and Stomp isn't bad either. I mean, it's not fantastic, but by Gen 3 standards, I'd actually say that's not bad. Via TM, we do get a few useful moves. Giga Drain might be handy, Earthquake may be useful, Aerial Ace is an improvement on Gust, but then there's stuff like Return and Hidden Power that are staples of every Emerald run potentially. This challenge was suggested by Pokemon Master Dressana and I'm looking forward to it. As always folks, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Thanks for watching folks, the rules are on the screen throughout, and if you do like what you see then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's get this on. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Trico with Tropius so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Trico so that our rival would get Torchic, which is the hardest for us to fight. Well, kind of. Combusken is part fighting type and we get flying moves. Better than the quad super effective against Marsh Stomp that we are anyway, I suppose. Anyway, we save Professor Birch from rabies and then we get given our Tropius and we are off on the way. I nicknamed the Tropius Banana D. Yeah, that's just amazingly funny to me. And here is what we're working with. We have the Chlorophyll ability, so we are going to be faster in the sun. We also have the Quiet Nature, which is more special attack and less speed. That is good in one sense, but we're already going to be pretty slow, so that's not going to be ideal. Fun fact, I have already used Tropius in team runs twice. I used it in the Emerald with the Rivals team and moves run, which was a few years back now, and I also used it last year in the Emerald with HM moves run. That doesn't feel quite so long ago. I mean, it wasn't entirely useful in the latter one, but I remember it being quite good in the Emerald with the Rivals team and moves run. Anyway, I'm doing EV training, but I'm not going to go overboard with it. We are pretty strong, and I don't think we are going to need to be massively over-leveled for the first bit of the game. We should have a pretty big advantage in the first 2 gyms. I think though, we will probably start to get roadblocked when it comes to the electric gym. I made an earlier comment about it being the best base stat total Pokemon I've used, and it's really not, given I've used Archeops, Slacking, Regigigas, and also Stantler has a better base stat total than Tropius. The first May fight is not particularly a tough one, as we are rocking a much better base stat total than Torchic. But I will point out I frequently win runs where the Pokemon with the lower base stat total wins. And although admittedly that does usually require a pretty decent amount of over levelling, prior planning and prep time, we free hit the Torchic with Gust. May doesn't have any of that here. I level up enough to get Razor Leaf and then I head into the Rock Gym to face off with Roxanne. I'm not anticipating a whole stack of trouble from her. Well, maybe Nose Pass, but we should have enough. I'm reasonably confident of that. The first Geodude goes down to Razor Leaf, and when the second one comes out, we miss a first Razor Leaf, and then get hit with Rock Throw for decent damage. A second Razor Leaf does hit to take it out though. Nose Pass is bulkier for sure, and survives our Razor Leaf quite hardily. We get hit with Rock Tomb for decent damage, and now we're slower. But thankfully, Nose Pass goes to the block and refuses to press the advantage, and we drop her into red health with another Razor Leaf. Roxanne starts to then spam healing items as we pour on the Razor Leaf attacks, but when she gets another chance to attack, eventually, when her healing items run out, she only goes for tackle, and we end the fight with a final Razor Leaf. 1 badge down. Leaving town, there is a May fight, and I don't think I've got a whole lot of reason to be worried about this, but I guess we'll see. The proof of the pudding and all that. She begins the battle with Lotad, and we duly one-shot that with Gust to give us a quick knockout. Torchic, out second, is something that we outspeed and hit with Stomp. We get the flinch, we stomp it again, and that chicken is done for, meaning we can take the win and move on. There is some travelling to get to the second gym now as we take a boat ride, and while I don't think the fighting gym will be particularly tough, the electric gym might be a little concerning due to Watson's Magneton resisting our stab, and there'll also be the fire gym after that. Not too worried about the rival fight, but maybe Maxi will be a problem. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to go and take on Brawley. I think this should be a pretty swift fight. We will resist his stab. We have a stab super effective move of our own, which generally always helps when it comes to battle. Machop survives Gust and hits a Karate Chop, which does pretty minimal damage. I think he's going to heal, so I go for a growth, but instead we get hit with low kick and then take it out with Gust. I go for a growth versus Meditite, always a dangerous thing since it has Focus Punch, but I figure we can tank one of those moves. It only goes for Reflect, and then we shred it with Razor Leaf. Makahita is last. We hit Razor Leaf for big damage and then get tagged with Vital Throw. It eats the Citrus Berry, but another Razor Leaf takes it down and gives us the second badge. Anyway, on the road again, and there is a rival fight ahead, which I'm not expecting to be too much of a challenge. Sometimes this fight can be rough, but I'm not really expecting it too much here. May begins with Wingull, and unfortunately we are slower, but our luck is made better by the fact that she fails with Supersonic twice, and we can strike it down with a pair of stomps for a victory. Combusken is a 2-hit with Gust and doesn't even try to attack us, only going for Focus Energy, and Lombre at the end is a 1-hit takedown with Gust, and we can move on. The Electric Gym is probably going to be the biggest challenge so far, and I lose a first attempt on Watson thanks to being paralysed and confused. However, a second attempt plays out much better, and it goes something like this. He begins with Voltorb and we start with Growth. Voltorb is faster though, and we get hit with 2 Sparks, but thankfully no paralysis and we drop it with Razor Leaf. Versus Electrike, we go for another Growth and it counters with Howl before we shred it with Razor Leaf. Now, Magneton, the biggest obstacle. Our Razor Leaf does over half, we get hit with Thunder Wave and Shockwave in quick succession before we down it with another Razor Leaf. At the end, we face Manectric, it goes for Howl, and then we take it out with Razor Leaf. Travelling again then, and I might well do some Tropius trivia while I'm here on the road to the next bit of the game. So, Tropius, a personal opinion. A 460 base stat total isn't bad, but it's a bit like Absol and possibly Flygon in the sense that it is a Gen 3 Pokemon I wish was slightly better than it actually turned out to be. In warm areas there are ranchers that raise Tropius. In Alola, its fruit is especially sweet compared to those in other regions. In the TCG, there is an Aerodactyl V card from the Lost Origins set, I believe, that shows Tropius existing from before fossil Pokemon went extinct. Various Pokédex entries talk about the fruit being sweet and popular with children and how it loves to eat fruit continuously. Tropius shares its height, weight and egg groups with Venusaur. It was the first Pokemon to be distributed in a Cherish Ball with the Shokatan Tropius distribution. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. It shares its category with the Bounsweet evolutionary line, as they are all known as the fruit Pokemon. Of all the Pokemon available in Gen 4, Tropius is the only one exclusive to Platinum, though it can also be obtained in Heart Gold and Soul Silver by the Pokewalker. Its name Maybe a combination of tropical and Saurus. It isn't too long then before I have a face-off with Maxi, and I need to be wary of the usual problems his team can bring. Intimidate, Sand Attack, Confusion, et al. While he shouldn't be too much of an issue, there's nothing like being wary. Mightyena intimidates us and we hit a Magical Leaf before shrugging off Bite. He heals it with a Super Potion and then we strike it with 2 more Magical Leaves to take it down. Camerupt is second. Body Slam does less than half its health and we get tagged with Ember for thankfully pretty mediocre damage before we strike a Magical Leaf to end it. Zubat goes down to Body Slam and thus we gain a victory over him and can head towards the Fire Gym. Yeah, I know this has the potential to be rough for sure, and there's even one effort where we lose to Slugma, believe it or not. That's like the ultimate insult. But eventually we get a run that goes like this. Numel is out first and we drop it with a Body Slam for a knockout. Camerupt is out next and survives Body Slam with Paralysis. Some runs it went for Sunny Day. Here it only goes for Tackle, which isn't an issue, and we take it out with another Body Slam. Slugma also goes down to Body Slam. Versus Torkoal we hit a crit Body Slam for well over half her health and paralyse her while she goes for Sunny Day. Thankfully though we crit another Body Slam and drop the Torkoal to give us the 4th badge. That was very lucky. I don't think we'd have won easily without those 2 crits. We have the normal gym next and this could go either way. So I think we might be fine, but again there's parts of the fight where we will need to be careful. We can probably get hurt quite badly if we make some misjudgments. Norman begins with Spinder and we start with a Body Slam to one-shot it because I don't want to take chances with Confusion. He goes for Vigoroth next and we go for Growth a few times because he can't really hurt us. 2 Slashers and 2 Facades don't even do half our health and thus we one-shot that with our +4 Magical Leaf. Linu hits 2 Headbutts, one of them flinching and the other critting, which problematic, but we strike a Magical Leaf to take it out. We are weak going into Slacking, but it only goes for Yawn and we can 2-hit that with Magical Leaf before falling asleep. We have Travelling next and there is a rival fight up ahead. We have the Flying Gym, which may be a bit problematic, probably Skarmory more than anything else, although I'd be a bit worried about Altaria too perhaps. There is another rival fight after, but not too concerned. Maxi may be tricky and the Psychic Gym is never particularly pleasant in this game. Archie likely won't be too much trouble and neither should the Water Gym unless we get unlucky with something having an ice move, which I believe Kingdra does. That rival fight then. We leave the Weather Institute and saunter over the bridge to face off with May and I'm ready for her. She begins with Pelipper and I know what's coming but still don't account for it. Should have gone for Growth but we Magical Leaf and that gets blocked by Protect. Pelipper survives Magical Leaf next turn and goes to Mist before protecting again and blocking the Gust that would have ended it. Protect blocks Gust again 2 turns in a row, but finally we knock it out with Gust at the 3rd attempt. Combusken is a single hit with Gust and Lombre hits Fake Out, but we then one-shot that with Gust straight after. So then, I get the Hidden Power TM and then versus the Kecleon outside of Fortree City, I see what type of hidden power we've actually ended up with, and it does turn out that we've got the Ice type. Now I can live with that. Probably just removed the Flying Gym as a serious problem and likely the Drake fight in the Elite Four too. In the Flying Gym, I do actually lose the first attempt because I figured Swablu was pretty good to power up on. I do have plans to use Swablu in a challenge very soon, but it is not a good Pokemon to power up on because it has Perish Song, which is what did us in. Can't take out 5 Pokemon in 3 turns mathematically. Anyway, next attempt, I go for 1 Growth and then one-shot Swablu with Hidden Power. Pelipper is next and I'm anticipating Protect, so I go for Growth. I'm proved right. I go for a 3rd Growth of the battle and it misses Supersonic. It blocks hidden power with Protect, but we strike it at the second attempt and Pelipper goes down. Tropius is a one-shot with hidden power, and Altaria is also a one-shot with hidden power. Skarmory is last. Our first hidden power puts it in red health. We get hit with Aerial Ace, but we shrug it off, and I know she is going to heal. Another growth while she hyper potions, and then we drop Skarmory with hidden power. Result: I travel to Lily Cove City, and while I am here, I figure I'll do the fight with May outside the department store, just on the off chance that I want to make my way inside and buy some stuff. Anyway, when the fight begins, she starts with Tropius, and we go for a few growths while we do get hit with a few stomps, but they do not turn out to be an issue. We then one-shot Tropius with hidden power. I fake Pelipper out with growth while it goes to Protect, and then we one-shot that with hidden power too. Combusken is a 2-hit takedown with Body Slam, but it only goes to Bulk Up, which means we are on to Ludicolo and we can one-shot that with Magical Leaf. That's the last of her. Into the Magma Hideout then, and might as well talk about what is ongoing with the channel. So, I'm actually writing this in 2024, I'm recording it in mid-January but not the point, and I can only sort, at the time of writing, predict how this is going due to not having a crystal ball. I was still uploading Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. By the time you hear this voice and see this video, I might have finished it. I hadn't finished playing it at the time of writing, I had the last level to go through. I'd been brainstorming about Let's Plays for the channel. Here is the thing with when I do Let's Plays, I don't always get private time to record them with voice audio. So, when I do get private time, I've often got audio to record for challenges and team playthroughs. I still need to put together the Swish Ultimate with Monkey Pokemon video for next month. That's writing time. In recording time frames, that was actually uploading to YouTube as I recorded this voice. So, there you go. So what I might experiment with is uploading Let's Plays with no commentary, just gameplay. Either way, I've been thinking about what's to come in 2025 with that. Anyway, next Pokemon challenge could be a fun one. It's going to be another Gen 7 challenge, and I'm going to have a romp through Ultra Sun with just a single Kamala. I got challenged to do this, and I'm definitely interested. Maybe bad timing on my part, since I just finished a team playthrough in a Gen 7 Ultra game, albeit in Ultra Moon, not Ultra Sun. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below, or follow the links in the description to Twitter, Discord and Patreon. I think one of the things that I do want to do in challenges this year is I do want to do more double Pokemon runs rather than single Pokemon runs. It's something that I think might make things a bit more interesting in my videos. So, we'll see. I've definitely got an idea for the first one of those, and that'll be probably after the Ultra Sun challenge. So, you'll see in a couple of weeks, but I think it's quite a cool little idea. The Maxi fight is next, and I'm not hugely worried, but I suppose there's always going to be that element of care required for a successful victory. I don't think his Camerupt has a fire attack, so the main danger is going to be Crobat. Anyway, he begins with Mightyena, and we are intimidated from the jump. We go for 2 growths, all while we get hit with 2 takedowns, which aren't going to be an issue for our health, and then we shred it with Magical Leaf. Out next, Camerupt is also a one-shot with Magical Leaf, and that just leaves us to battle with Crobat. It hits Confuse Ray, and we hit ourselves in confusion before being clipped with Wing Attack. But Hidden Power blasts it down to give us a win when we shake Confusion off. That's that then. What probably isn't going to be easy is the Psychic Gym. This is always a tricky fight. Now we are immune to Earthquake, but being hit twice every turn is going to be a bit rough. I make a few attempts at level 59, working out the options, and eventually I get a run where this happens. I can fake the system out because of Wynaut being there, because both Xatu and Claydol will try to attack it, and that gives me a chance to go for growth unhindered, while the recently hatched Wynaut is murdered. Xatu is faster than us, unfortunately, and goes for Calm Mind. On other runs this was a problem, but here we crit Hidden Power to take it out. Claydol uses Light Screen, which, very annoying, but we still one-shot Solrock with Magical Leaf to give us a knockout, and turn it into a 2 versus 1 versus Claydol and Lunatone. Claydol hits us with Psychic a few times as we bring Lunatone down with a Magical Leaf attack, and I think I'm over the hump now as I turn my attention to Claydol. It survives a Magical Leaf, but not a second one, and though we took some damage over the course of the fight, it is better to be hit by Claydol than any of the other three. Archie fight then in the Undersea Cavern, and again shouldn't be an issue. I'm not concerned. He begins with Mightyena, and we are intimidated. We go for growth and get hits with Scary Face and Swagger in quick succession. I have thoughts about the evil team leaders in Gen 3. We fight through Confusion and go for another growth. After getting hit with Takedown, we fight through Confusion and drop Mightyena with Magical Leaf. We lose a lot of health versus Crobat thanks to getting hit with flying type moves and also hitting ourselves in Confusion, which not ideal at all. We get dropped onto red health by the exchange before finally we shake Confusion off and hit Hidden Power to take Crobat out. Sharpedo might still have knocked us out if it hadn't gone for Taunt. It does nothing to stop the Magical Leaf coming its way, and we duly make Shark Fin Soup. There is a bit of travelling now as I work my way to save the world. I've got the Water Gym straight after, which I'm not anticipating to be too much of an issue, unless they have ice moves aside, but even then, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. I am worried about Kingdra though, because I know that does have an ice move. Then, there's Victory Road, the Elite Four and the like. I think I might have to fight Stephen Stone in this run. It would be rude not to, considering we are a stronger Pokemon than we would be normally otherwise. Anyway, when we fight the one and only after negotiating the ice puzzle in his gym, which is nice, it's not hard, but it's something that always requires a bit of care and attention. It goes something like this. He begins with Love Disc and we use Growth before getting hit with Sweet Kiss. We fight through Confusion but get hit with Attract 2, so this is probably about to get really interesting. I doubt it really can hurt us though. Water Pulse does very little damage to us. We fight through Confusion and Attraction and drop it with Magical Leaf. Versus Celio, we fight through Confusion and nail it with Magical Leaf, and that's a pretty good result. But Kingdra is third. Double Team won't be a problem here, which it goes for after we put it on red health with Magical Leaf. I know Juan is going to heal, so I go for another Growth while he Hyper Potions. Another Magical Leaf drops it. To the surprise of probably nobody, Whiscash goes down to Magical Leaf before Crawdont is out last, and we hit another Magical Leaf to take that down for the count and give us the last badge. I enter Victory Road and there's the fight with Wally, which is always a bit of an experience, though never usually one that turns out to be insurmountable for sure. He begins with Altaria and we go for Growth, while it uses 2 Dragon Dance attacks, but we soon shoot it down with Hidden Power. I want some Growths for Magneton when it comes out though. Roselia is second and we drop it with Hidden Power before Delcatty is third. We go for another Growth versus that, while it goes for Assist and uses Calm Mind. We soon drop it with Magical Leaf. Magneton survives Magical Leaf on a Sliver and goes for Screech. Wally heals it and we hit a Body Slam before taking it down with Magical Leaf. We hit Gardevoir with Body Slam but paralyse it, and thanks to his Synchronise ability, Paralysis kicks in on us, but we take it out with another Body Slam for the win. As we go through Victory Road, we have the Elite Four ahead, and I'm reasonably confident. Sydney is usually more annoying than difficult because of the status debuffs he likes to inflict, and some of them can be problematic in single Pokemon runs, like Sand Attack. We do have Magical Leaf, but he also has 2 Grass types. Phoebe is also potentially annoying with her Pressure, Protect, Curse combo. Glacier could be shocking. We are super weak to Ice, so we will have to see. Drake probably isn't going to be as bad as he might have been, thanks to the Hidden Power type we ended up with, but he still has some dangerous Pokemon. I actually don't think Wallace is going to be the sweep you might think he would be. a lot of his Pokemon have ice moves, and some, like Tentacruel, Gyarados and Ludicolo, take neutral damage from grass, so it's not going to be a super effective sweep. Also, I looked up to see if this challenge has been done before. Yes is the answer, and I'm not surprised. Found a few examples of it, and also some instances of it being used in Ruby and Sapphire. I knew this one wasn't an original idea, but I've quite enjoyed it so far. Anyway, we get to the Pokemon League at level 70, and our stats are pretty good compared to what I'm normally working with at this point in the game. Good HP, good defense stats, offensive stats are pretty even. I could do with more special attack than regular, but oh well. That may come in handy later. Speed is low, but hey, we knew that going in. Take your guesses on if we can do it at this level or not. Right now, folks, let's do this. Dark-type trainer Sydney is up first, and I'm ready to get down to battle him. Like I said earlier, I need to watch out for debuffs. He begins with that Mightyena, and we are intimidated. However, we set up for the rest of the fight straight away. I want to make sure we hit as hard as possible, particularly since we might not hit every turn with some attacks after he sand attacks twice. I use 4 growths, we get hit with 2 double edge attacks, and then we smash the Dark Doggo with Magical Leaf for a knockout. Absol is next, we shred it with a Magical Leaf. Shiftry is third, we miss Hidden Power and get clipped with Extra Sensory, but our second attempt at Hidden Power takes it down for the count. Fourth is Capturn. We miss Hidden Power on the first attempt and get hit with Cotton Spore and Feint Attack before we strike it at the second attempt to bring it down. Crawdont does land Strength, but we drop it with Magical Leaf. 1 down. Ghost Trainer Phoebe is up next, and I'm well aware what the issue is going to be, so I think the only thing to really do is just leap in, both feet first, and hope for the best. She always begins with Dusclops number 1, but at least I have a move which can power us up, so that's something that helps. I go for Growth while she goes for Protect. I go for 3 growths in the end, while she insists on spamming Protect 3 turns in a row. Thankfully, on the 4th turn, when I go for Magical Leaf, the Protect fails and we shred it hard to give us the knockout. Dusclops number 2 is a 1-hit knockout with our powered up Magical Leaf. Bayonet number 1 goes down to Magical Leaf, and on the next turn, and on the round after, so does Sableye. Bayonet number 2, right at the bitter end, doesn't survive an attack either, and we can move on to the next foe. Versus Glacier, we actually lose the first attempt when I don't power up enough to get us a one-shot on the first Glalie, but on the second attempt I rectify my errors. She begins with Celio, and on this effort she starts with using Hail. I work out that we should be able to tank 2 turns of Ice Ball, and so in all of this I get 3 growths going before one-shotting Celio number 1 with Magical Leaf. On the next turn we do the same thing to Celio number 2 to take it out quickly before we face Walrein. That goes down to Magical Leaf on this effort. Glalie number 1 goes down to Magical Leaf, and thankfully so does Glalie number 2, which, big relief. On to Drake then, and this shouldn't be a problem. Just like with Phoebe, it's about guessing when to beat the Protect stall that he likes to do with his opening Shelgon. That thing likes to open with Protect, but it also has a Rock Tomb that can be problematic. We go for Growth while it protects against an attack that never comes, and then one-shot it with Hidden Power. Flygon is unsurprisingly a 1-hit takeout with Hidden Power, and so on the next turn is Altaria. So we're doing well so far. Salamence is faster than us and hits Flamethrower, but we one-shot that with Hidden Power, and then there's just Kingdra left. It survives Magical Leaf and goes for Dragon Dance, followed up by Body Slam, but we don't get paralysed and we can take it out with our second Magical Leaf. And surprise surprise, it does actually turn out that Wallace is a bridge too far at this level. As I said earlier, his team have ice moves which we are super weak to. Wailord has Blizzard, and while I could gamble on powering up while hoping that it misses repeatedly, it's not really a viable long-term strategy. Even on the efforts where I can take Wailord and Milotic out, we are weak enough after trading blows with them that Tentacruel can come in and easily finish us off. So I need to get stronger then, it would appear. Who'd have thought the Elite Four pretty much would be a one-shot through, and then we get stalled out by a water-type specialist while using a grass type? Well, me, clearly, because I said it at the start of the challenge, start of the Elite Four effort. I come back to challenge Wallace at the much higher level of 87. It's like I grinded up and then decided to throw a little extra in to be sure, and I think this should be a tipping point. We lose a first attempt thanks to being crit by Wailord's Blizzard, but then this happens. Of course, we begin with Growth. Wailord misses Blizzard on the first turn and then goes to Rain Dance on the second, so we are at +2 in special attack and no damage. I go for a third Growth and then we do get hit with Blizzard, but it does less than half our health before we one-shot Wailord with Magical Leaf. Milotic out second is also a one-shot with Magical Leaf. In third, we outspeed the Tentacruel and one-shot that with another Magical Leaf. In fourth, Ludicolo, one-hit knockout with, guess what, Magical Leaf. And so, out in the fifth, to the surprise of nobody, is Whiscash. Well, Magical Leaf, that's all that wrote. Last is Gyarados, and it actually breaks the pattern by surviving Magical Leaf on a sliver and then going for Dragon Dance. I don't want a full restore pattern though, so while Wallace heals, I go for another Growth, and then our next Magical Leaf one-shots it. We do get hit with Surf though, but for little damage. And with that, we enter the Hall of Fame, and this is normally where I draw a line under the run, but since Tropius is better than what I normally use, I don't think I can really get out of doing the Steven Stone secret boss fight, and so I'm going to make a stab at it. Anyway, when I make my first try on Steven, it becomes very quickly apparent that Skarmory is a huge issue. I could have predicted that for sure. Now, I'm not worried about the super effective flying moves, that's not a problem, but it has Toxic, which, huge problem. And we'll need a few Growths if we want to hurt it with Hidden Power, which is probably far and away my best way of damaging it. On a first attempt, I take out Skarmory and Claydol, but go down to poison damage. I grind up to level 100 and then I stride back into facing. The grinding, the worst thing. Skarmory is the biggest problem. Everything else on his team I can probably deal with relatively comfortably. I go for 2 Growths and in an absolutely insane stroke of luck, it misses Toxic twice on us, which I'm hugely relieved about. We strike a Hidden Power to put it in yellow health, and it goes for Spikes, which isn't going to have an outcome on the fight, before we drop it with another Hidden Power. Claydol is a one-shot with Magical Leaf before Cradily is third. We strike Hidden Power for about 3/4 of its health before getting hit with Confuse Ray. I decide to use Growth to time out the confusion before facing the rest of his team, since I think Cradily probably can't hurt us, and then I realise it has a super effective Ancient Power. We drop it quickly with Hidden Power. We fight through Confusion to one-hit Armaldo with Magical Leaf. We then fight through Confusion to one-hit Aggron with a Magical Leaf, and I'm pretty amazed we're doing so well with not hitting ourselves. Metagross is last, and it's the reason I now have Earthquake. We finally shake Confusion off and hit Earthquake for about 3/4 of its health. It smashes us with Meteor Mash for about 1/3 of our health, and then we strike the final blow of the run, dropping it with Earthquake to give us a win. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed this one. I know it probably wasn't much in the way of challenge because Tropius is relatively decent compared to what I normally use. And also, grass types tend to do reasonably well in Hoenn. But thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Help the channel grow. I want 2025 to be the year I hit 300 subs. Small steps. However, at the time of recording, 9:52 on the 18th of January 2025, I had actually gone backwards, but yeah. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge, folks, as I head to Alola and see if I can beat Pokemon Ultra Sun with a single Kamala. Should be interesting. Now, I am going to jump off here, folks. Thanks for joining me for another Pokemon challenge. I hope you had fun watching this. I know I had fun making it. Thanks for joining me. Take care. I will see you on the next one. So, bye-bye. So long. See you next time. Ta-ta.